This morning you woke up, got out of bed, and felt it again. Maybe just a little stiffness, maybe a faint pop somewhere in your lower spine. You stretched, rubbed your back, and moved on with your day, never once suspecting that the pain wasn't your fault. Not because you sit wrong, not because you skipped the gym. That pain is an unpaid bill from an evolutionary decision made nearly 7 million years ago. And the strangest part is that decision was right. Completely right. Our bodies just haven't finished paying for it yet. So why did our ancestors stand up? And what did standing up actually cost? The answer isn't in any textbook. It lives in a layer of volcanic ash in Tanzania, in a tiny skeleton found in Ethiopia, and in handprints pressed against the walls of a dark cave in France. Let's start on an afternoon in November 1974 in the Hadar region of Ethiopia. Paleoanthropologist Donald Johanson was digging under 40-degree heat when a small bone fragment caught his eye, half buried in red dust. Then another, then another. Weeks later, his team had pieced together nearly 40% of a skeleton belonging to someone who had lived 3.2 million years ago. About 110 centimeters tall, roughly 29 kilograms. A fully grown woman, dead while still relatively young. That night, a Beatles song drifted from a camp radio, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The name stuck. When scientists analyzed Lucy's pelvis, femur, and knee joints, they went quiet. She walked on two legs. Completely. Not shuffling, not halfway. Upright, striding, like us. But Lucy's brain was the size of a chimpanzee's. No evidence of complex stone tools. No fire. No language. Bipedalism appeared millions of years before everything we consider distinctly human. Walking upright wasn't the result of becoming smarter. It was the starting pistol. Then, 4 years later, at Laetoli in Tanzania, scientist Mary Leakey found something even more striking. Not bones. Footprints. Two hominins had walked across a layer of wet volcanic ash 3.66 million years ago. The ash hardened like cement, locking in every detail. Heel striking first, big toe aligned with the rest, not splayed out like an ape's. A defined arch running through the middle of the foot, a gait indistinguishable from a person taking an evening walk. Looking at those footprints, the 3.66 million years between then and now nearly disappears. But the real question remains, why? Why would a creature built for climbing trees abandon 4 stable points of contact for just 2? The answer came from a surprisingly simple experiment. In 2007, a research team at the University of Arizona put chimpanzees on treadmills first on all fours, then upright on 2 legs while measuring their energy output. The result? Chimps walking on 4 limbs used 75% more energy than humans walking on 2. Under optimal conditions, humans used just 1/4 of the energy of a knuckle-walking chimp. 1/4. That number changes everything. Between 6 and 8 million years ago, Africa's climate shifted. Forests shrank, grasslands expanded. Our primate ancestors found themselves crossing increasingly wide stretches of open terrain to find food. In that world, a body that burned less energy survived. A body that burned more starved before reaching the next food source. Standing upright wasn't an elegant choice. It was a cold, ruthless, completely logical survival calculation. But when the body stands up, it has to rebuild nearly its entire skeletal architecture. And that's when the bills start coming in. Picture your spine. In quadrupeds, it works like a horizontal bridge weight distributed evenly along its length, no single point overloaded. Standing upright turns that origin to a vertical column, and the full weight of the body presses straight down through every vertebra. To stay balanced without toppling, the spine curves into an shape arching inward at the lower back, outward at the upper back. That S-curve is evolutionary engineering at its finest. It absorbs impact, maintains balance, distributes force with every step, but it also creates a critical weak point at the lumbar region where the inward curve is deepest, where pressure concentrates every time you stand, sit, bend, or lift anything heavy. A 2020 study by bioarchaeologists at Simon Fraser University, the University of Liverpool, and the University of Sydney confirmed this using advanced 3D shape analysis. They found that humans have vertebrae with bipedal adaptations far beyond those of any other primate, and that those exaggerated adaptations are what cause spondylolysis, a stress fracture of the spine that occurs only in humans, never in great apes. Researcher Kimberly Plomp stated it plainly. This was the first evidence of a direct link between vertebral shape, bipedalism, and spinal health. Your back hurts because your back isn't finished adapting. After several million years, and the spine isn't the only part paying the price. The human pelvis had to narrow and reshape to support upright posture. That works well for walking, but it created a biological contradiction with no clean solution. The human infant brain grew so large it barely fits through the reshaped birth canal. Human childbirth is among the most dangerous delivery processes in the mammalian world, and that is a direct consequence of choosing both bipedalism and large brains simultaneously. Two evolutionary ambitions colliding, and women have borne the weight of that collision for millions of years. The hips, knees, and feet all absorb load in ways the body's mechanics were never originally optimized for. Osteoarthritis, plantar fasciitis, fallen arches, conditions that mark humans distinctly, rarely seen in other primates living in the wild. More than 50% of people in developed countries experience back pain at least once in their lives. Back pain costs the UK an estimated £3 to £12 billion per year. American companies lose roughly $7.4 billion annually to back pain-related absences. We are paying the evolutionary invoice, in real money, every year. But here is what I want you to sit with for a moment. When two hands were freed from holding up a body, they began doing things no other creature on Earth had ever done. Not immediately, evolution doesn't rush, but gradually, across millions of years, those free hands picked up stones, then shaped stones into edges. Then one day, someone picked up a piece of charcoal and walked into the dark. On the walls of Chauvet Cave in southern France, painted roughly 36,000 years ago, there are horses, lions, and woolly rhinoceroses. The colors are so vivid that the first scientists to see them refused to believe they were that old. What stops me every time I think about Chauvet isn't the technique, though the technique is extraordinary. It's the reason. The person who painted those walls didn't need to paint, not to hunt more effectively, not to stay safer. They painted because they wanted to, because they watched a horse running at full speed, and something happened in their mind that has never happened in any other mind on this planet. This is beautiful, and I want to hold on to it. The hand that pressed charcoal against stone in the dark, that hand was freed by an evolutionary step taken millions of years before. Without bipedalism, no Chauvet, no Sistine Chapel. Nothing that human beings have ever made that we call beautiful. The energy saved by walking upright was also slowly redirected into a brain growing larger with every generation. The human brain consumes roughly 20% of the body's total energy, while accounting for only 2% of its weight, the most expensive organ in the natural world. Without an efficient locomotion engine running underneath it, there would never have been enough fuel to keep it running. Bipedalism didn't create civilization, but it prepared the ground that civilization grew from. The next time you wake up and feel that familiar ache in your lower back, remember, that's not your body failing you. That's evidence of a compromise nearly 7 million years in the making, one your ancestors agreed to without knowing what they were agreeing to. We are the only creatures on Earth that stand upright long enough to look at the night sky and wonder where we came from. The answer, it turns out, begins with a footprint pressed into volcanic ash in Tanzania 3.66 million years ago.